It's a mad world, but it's our world, so let's enjoy it as we lampoon the news. I'm your man.
Ishi Hakase.
We're here to bring you the funny, the weird, the strange, the unbelievable, the stupid, the refreshing, and maybe even the provocative. So grab a drink, a snack, kick back, and let's get to it. So today I come to you from the ruins of the Eastern State Penitentiary located in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania on Fairmount Avenue. It operated from 1829 until 1971. The penitentiary refined the revolutionary method of reform through separate incarceration instead of capital punishment. So you see, prior to penitentiaries, we have to remember how people were punished when they committed a crime. So you had the pillory or stockade. It's basically wood and metal erected on a post with holes for securing the head and hands. And it was used to constrain and humiliate people publicly. While constrained, people would be pelted with rotten eggs, vegetables, mud, feces, other matter. Sometimes punishment took on the form of public whippings, branding with hot irons. I mean, real, quite frankly, medieval barbaric stuff. So I guess the Puritans thought incarceration seemed rather humane. They believed that separate confinement was a more effective form of rehabilitation. This established the model of solitary confinement rather than corporal punishment, work details, or chain gangs. Now, we should note that the word penitentiary comes from the Latin penitentia, meaning repentance. A penitentiary is a place you are sent to make repentance for the crimes that you may have committed. And the Eastern State Penitentiary attempted to reform some of history's most notorious criminals, such as Al Capone, bank robber Willie Sutton. At its completion, the building was the largest and most expensive public structure ever erected in the United States and quickly became a model for more than 300 prisons worldwide. It was designed by John Haviland and opened in October of 1829, and Eastern State Penitentiary is considered to be the world's first true penitentiary. It is very oddly situated in the middle of a neighborhood in Philadelphia. So you'll see homes on three sides of the penitentiary, and then on the facade there are, ice cream shops and delis and all sorts of what we'll call retail spots. But right now, of course, the penitentiary has been closed for 50 years. It's now in ruin. And it's now open to the public as one of the biggest tourist traps in Philadelphia, museums in Philadelphia. So we have had centuries of methods to attempt to deter criminal behavior, but it hasn't stopped anybody yet. So what is in the criminal mind? What is this all about? So psychologists say there are characteristics in the brain that may predispose some people to criminal behavior. That doesn't mean that they're smart. In fact, from what I see, it seems that most of them are pretty dumb. So, let's take a look at the criminal mind and what makes people do allegedly certain things. So today, we're going to go into Criminal Minds Edition. 2 men arrested after vehicle search finds drugs in bag marked "bag full of drugs." Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Office. 2 men were arrested Saturday in Florida when their drugs were reportedly found in a bag marked "bag full of drugs." The two men were arrested in Santa Rosa County, Florida, Saturday after law enforcement officers said they found illegal drugs in a bag labeled "bag full of drugs." The men were pulled over by a state trooper for allegedly speeding 25 miles over the speed limit. Santa Rosa County's Sheriff's Office canine deputies recently assisted on a traffic stop on I-10 where a large amount of narcotics were discovered. Note to self, do not traffic your illegal narcotics in bags labeled bags full of drugs. Our canines can read, a Facebook post from the Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Office said. Here we go with the social media campaigns with police and sheriff's offices. Now, obviously, they meant dogs can read as a facetious statement, but we'll see, maybe not. To close this story, the narcotics and other contraband found reportedly included 75 grams of meth, 1.36 kilograms of GHB, 1 gram of cocaine, 3.6 grams of an undetermined substance. Now, I do want to give credit to the Santa Rosa County, Florida Sheriff's Office for their nicely composed photograph of the evidence. Take note of the symmetry, their possible use of the rule of thirds. We have some good contrast along the sort of faux wooden tabletop background. They've got some branding with Interstate 10. And notice the bag full of drugs. And I've seen bags like this before, and it could say like makeup or knickknacks. But where do you find a bag that's labeled bag full of drugs? Does our big box retail stores sell these? Is there something online? Was this a giveaway? And if you're looking online, what motivates you to say, we need a bag for our drugs that's labeled bag full of drugs? But what do I know? The criminal mind. Sorry, banks don't accept cocaine. This is from 96.3 XKE Fort Wayne's classic rock station. I was surprised because I didn't know we still had classic rock stations since we have so many really, really good streaming media services, but we'll save that for another day. Because COVID, we don't really have people interested in touching things. Certainly not the keys on an ATM machine. When you start talking about touching all of these devices, it's a little risky, but maybe not for this guy. So 34-year-old David of Jefferson County, Colorado, needed to deposit some cash last Friday. So he went to his bank's drive-through where they still use those air-powered tubes. Those are those old pneumatic tubes, so you'd get a cylinder and then you put it in a compartment and it would just vacuum it into the teller window, and then they would take it out and then they would send it back to you the same way. So he sent it along, and when the teller opened the container, they didn't just find money, but they also found drugs. It turned out David accidentally put 2 bags of cocaine in with his cash. So the bank teller called the cops. They showed up, searched his car, found more drugs, and he was arrested. It's not clear what charges he faced, but I know what charges he faces, and that is the charge of stupidity. Nice job, David. Man steals Christmas packages as he's released from jail. A 20-year-old college student booked into a Washington jail for underage drinking was seen on a surveillance camera attempting to steal packages from beneath the Christmas tree at the police department when he was leaving the building. According to Fox News, he soon discovered that one box was empty, one was a tissue box, and the third contained women's hygiene products. He quickly discarded and absconded presents and made his appearance very scarce. And then, of course, why are there women's hygiene products wrapped up like a Christmas gift under the tree at the police station? Is this an appropriate gift? Well, I'll let you all ponder that. But there's a very grainy surveillance photograph of this incident, and it just reminded me of a term that really didn't exist maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and that term being porch pirates. And unfortunately, 2 million packages are stolen each year, from delivery services leaving things at one's doorstep. And I have actually had items stolen off of my front porch, and I hope the people were satisfied as they unwrapped the box. It was very likely to be a bag of dog food. So if you get a chance, I really like Mark Rober's videos on the glitter bombs that he makes to deter these porch pirates. And I don't know Mark, and I'm not, in a sense, trying to plug him for any kind of paid service, but I just think he's doing a really good job. It's very interesting. So these glitter bombs, they're disguised to look like electronics packages. And when people steal them, it explodes all this fine glitter on them. And then there is a follow-up of fart spray. And if you have ever had fart spray or liquid ass on you, it is putrid, and it is actually very hard to get that smell out of your life. So if you want some entertainment after this program, of course, go check out some of his videos. They're very good. Now, speaking of fart spray, I don't know if this is a good segue, but man allegedly hiding drugs in butt accidentally shoots himself in the testicles. And just anatomically, I'm trying to figure out how something like that would work. I'll read from the story. This comes from the New York Post. A bungling felon from Washington State made a series of blunders when he shot himself in the testicles and tried to hide the weapon, all while storing drugs in his anus. Cameron Wilson, 27, was carrying a pistol in his front pocket while in his Washington apartment on April 5th, when the firearm accidentally discharged and pierced his groin and thigh, according to the news. Wilson, who is a 13-time convicted felon, told his girlfriend to dispose of the weapon before heading to the hospital. When the ex-con finally went to the hospital, a balloon of marijuana slipped out of his anus while a doctor was operating on the gunshot wound. Cops also arrived at the hospital when alerted of the gunshot wound and searched Wilson's car, where they discovered a bag of meth in the bloodstained jeans he was wearing when he shot himself. The officers issued an arrest warrant for Wilson, and he turned himself into police on 18 April. As he is being processed, Wilson was strip searched, and another balloon of marijuana slipped from his anus, which was reported by the story. While in jail, Wilson made a number of calls to his girlfriend and asked her not to cooperate with investigators working on his case. Authorities were listening in on the call. The convicted felon was charged with possession of a firearm, unlawful possession of meth, possession of a controlled substance in a correctional facility, and 4 counts of tampering with a witness. Nice job, Cameron. You've had quite a day. Suspect farts so loudly, his hiding spot is revealed to officers. Deputies with the Clay County, Missouri Sheriff's Office were searching a wooded area for a man wanted for possession of a controlled substance when the subject passed gas so loudly his hiding spot was revealed. The agency posted a statement on Facebook. If you've got a felony warrant for your arrest, the cops are looking for you, and you pass gas so loud it gives up your hiding spot, you are definitely having a day. Wow, these police social media feeds are becoming a great source of information and entertainment. You all let me know if you're following any social media feeds from the local police or sheriffs. Put it in the chat. I have got to check out more of these things. Now, concerning the story, response from citizens to the social media post were understandably positive about the story. And now I'm trying to put myself in the position of this man on the run, hiding in the woods. He finds himself a nice spot. He hunkers down, just like Carl the Python. He's real quiet. The police don't see him, and all of a sudden he feels a rumbling. He's starting to get the bubble guts, and he cramps up, and he's thinking to himself, I shouldn't have had those extra spicy wings. Oh, I'm not sure what I could do. Oh my gosh. And then the police just say, okay, come on out, you're under arrest. Florida man calls police to test illegal drugs. Douglas Kelly suspected that the drugs he illegally bought and subsequently consumed were not what he had bargained for. So he did what he believed was the logical thing to do. He called the Putnam County Sheriff's Office, asking them to test the drugs so he could press charges against the person who sold them to him, according to CNN. Kelly contacted the Putnam County Sheriff's Office and said he had purchased meth about a week earlier and had a bad reaction after smoking the narcotic. Kelly gave deputies samples of the clear crystallized substance for testing. The substance field tested positive for meth, the drug Kelly intended to purchase. Kelly was arrested and charged with possession of meth. He was walked to the Putnam County Jail and held on $5,000 bond. A quote, in an effort to ensure the quality of the drug the suspect purchased, detectives told Kelly if he came to the sheriff's office, they could test the narcotic he purchased. This came from the Putnam County Sheriff's Office Facebook page. Remember, our detectives are always ready to assist anyone who believes they were misled in their illegal drug purchase. That is how the Facebook post concluded. My gosh, I mean, how can you be that stupid? But then, at the same time, look at the police operating in the public interest, providing a service to do drug testing. So if you're unsure, go check out your local police department and make sure that your narcotics are on the up and up. Florida drug dealer calls 911 asking for help to find stolen cocaine. So there are two crimes in this headline. There is drug possession and there is a theft. So David Blackman called police for help recovering his cocaine. Blackman, 32, called 911, called emergency services, identified himself as a drug dealer, and proceeded to report that the cash and cocaine had been stolen from his car Sunday, according to a, guess what, Facebook post by the Okaloosa County, Florida Sheriff's Office. A deputy responded to the scene, at which point Blackman told him that $50 and a quarter-ounce bag of cocaine had been stolen from the car's center console. The deputy searched the vehicle and found the cocaine in the same spot from where it had been reported stolen. He also found a crack pipe on the floor and crack rock near the cocaine, according to Facebook. Blackman was arrested and charged with possession of cocaine, resisting arrest without violence, and possession of drug paraphernalia. What is resisting arrest without violence? And what does that mean? Do you just, you're under arrest and you just go, no, I don't think so, not today. Well, never heard that before, but there it is. Ohio police say half-naked man crashed car into closed store to get beer. My first question for you is, what does a half-naked man mean? What is it to be half-naked? You're wearing clothes on one side and not on the other side? Well, we'll read the story and find out. Police in suburban Cleveland say a half-naked man intentionally crashed his car into a closed convenience store to get beer, injuring himself and a store employee. Rocky River, Ohio, police say the 45-year-old driver was wearing nothing from the waist down when he crashed through a store wall earlier Sunday and told the worker he needed beer. Police say the man barricaded himself inside the beer cooler and told police, take me away, but they eventually subdued him with a stun gun. This was reported out of Cincinnati.com. Wow. Speaking of beer, DUI suspect tries to high-five a Pennsylvania officer. So in Tyrone, Pennsylvania, police officers turned away a high five from a drunk driver, suspected drunk driver. He flagged down for driving without headlights. So the officer contacted Gerald Decker, 27, at 1:20 a.m. in February. He observed Decker driving without headlights. Decker allegedly said, "Thanks, buddy," and tried to high-five the officer, who instead gave him several field sobriety tests. Not really what else to tell you about that, my man, except Gerald might consider getting a little help. Suspects butt dial 911 during alleged burglary. This comes out of ABC News. Of course, accidentally butt dialing someone is embarrassing or inconsequential to most, but for two Fresno, California men, their cell phone mishap landed them in jail. The call, which went to 911, started like any other call to the police dispatcher, the operator asking, "What is your emergency?" But when no one answered, the operator didn't hang up, instead staying on the line and listening. The police identified as Nathan and Carson, both 20, as they talked about wanting to do drugs. It wasn't long before the conversation turned to breaking into a car. Get the bolt and give me the hammer, just the one, that one in the case. One of the two voices on the phone said. Shortly after that statement, the dispatcher heard a window shatter, and the people on the phone started yelling that they had found prescription drugs. As the two were driving away, police were already in the area searching for the men based on clues that the 911 dispatcher was feeding them. The police finally tracked the suspects down and pulled them over. The suspects acted confused and questioned, why were they being pulled over? "Oh, he's following me, dawg," one of the suspects said. "Wow, what the did I do?" As they were being questioned, the suspects allegedly denied any wrongdoing, but after searching the car, police said they found items that allegedly were taken from the burglarized vehicle. After being cuffed, the suspects were finally told how they were actually caught. "This fool really called 911," one of the suspects said. Damn! "I have never heard anything like this," reported Sergeant Rios of the Fresno Police Department, telling ABC News. "There have been times where the dispatcher hears something like this, but never has the call come in before a crime was actually being committed, and staying on the end all the way." Rios said that the suspects are being charged with burglary, conspiracy, and possession of stolen property. Man robs Pennsylvania bank for $1. A northern Cambria, Pennsylvania man attempted to rob a Pennsylvania bank for $1 in hopes that he would be sent to a federal prison near his home. Why? Why? Is it for the food? So Jeffrey, a 50-year-old regular customer of the Amerisave Bank, allegedly handed notes to two tellers demanding $1, reports the Tribune Democrat. In one note, Jeffrey politely wrote, "Federal bank robbery, please hand over $1." The first teller recognized Jeffrey and reportedly thought it was a joke, telling him to go to the next teller. The second teller also thought it was a joke and began walking away. When Jeffrey got angry and told her to give him the money and nobody gets hurt, well, obviously he was arrested. I have some advice, Jeffrey. If you are going to commit a federal crime like bank robbery that holds a pretty severe prison sentence, maybe you should be a bit more ambitious. Maybe ask for $10K. But hey, you go to jail just the same. So that takes us to this whole topic of bank robberies in general. According to the FBI, most modern-day bank robberies are unsophisticated and unprofessional crimes committed by young male repeat offenders who apparently don't know the first thing about their business, and that being robbing banks. So these 10 points come from an article titled "How Not to Rob a Bank" by Tim Clark. Clark reported that in spite of the widespread use of surveillance cameras, 76% of bank robbers use no disguise, 86% never study the bank before robbing it, and 95% make no long-range plans for concealing the loot. Thus, he offered this advice would be for bank robbers, or we should say would-be bank robbers, along with examples of what can happen if the rules aren't followed. So, I'll go from 1 to 10. First, pick the right bank. Clark advises that you don't follow the lead of a fellow Anaheim, California person who tried to hold up a bank that was no longer in business. On the other hand, you don't want to be too familiar with the bank. A California robber ran into his mother while making his getaway. She snitched. He's in jail. Number 2, approach the right teller. Granted, Clark says this is harder to plan. One teller in Massachusetts followed the holdup man out of the bank and down the street until she saw him go into a restaurant. She hailed a passing police car and the police picked him up. Another teller was given a holdup note by a bank robber, but did not know that her father was in line behind him, and when he found out, he basically beat the guy down. Number 3, don't sign your demand note. Demand notes have been written on the back of a subpoena issued. It was written on an envelope bearing the name and address. It was written on the back of someone's withdrawal slip, giving the robber's signature and account. Beware of dangerous vegetables. Number 4, a man in White Plains, New York, tried to hold up a bank with a zucchini. The police captured him at his house, where he showed them his weapon. Number 5, avoid being fussy. A robber in Panorama City, California, gave a teller a note saying, "I have a gun. Give me all your 20s in this envelope." The teller replied, "All I have are 2 20s. The robber took them and left. Number 6, don't advertise. A holdup man thought if he would smear mercury ointment on his face, it would make him invisible to cameras. Actually, it accentuated his features, giving authorities a much clearer picture. Bank robbers in Minnesota and California tried to create a diversion by throwing stolen money out of the window of their getaway cars. They succeeded in only drawing attention to themselves. 7, take right turns only. Avoid the sad fate of the thieves in Florida who took a wrong turn and ended up on the Homestead Air Force Base. They drove up to a military police guardhouse and, thinking it was a toll booth, offered the security men money. 8, provide your own transportation. It's not so clever to borrow the teller's car and then use that as your getaway vehicle. She snitched. They're in jail. Don't be too sensitive. In these days of exploding die packs, stuffing the cash into your pants, that can lead to embarrassing stains, Clark points out, not to mention severe burns in sensitive places, as bandits in San Diego and Boston have painfully discovered. Wow, it's nothing, can't think about a die pack exploding in your pants. But that leads us to number 10. Consider another line of work. One nervous Newport, Rhode Island robber, while trying to stuff his ill-gotten gains into his shirt pocket, shot himself in the head. That's the end of the story. I do want to end on a little bit of good news. We know when times get very difficult, a person's best friend can often be the keystone in keeping their spirits from sinking too low. That best friend that I'm talking about are dogs. 9 golden retrievers have been brought in from out of state to help first responders cope with the emotional toll of the Miami Surfside condo collapse, which recently occurred. These comfort canines work similarly to therapy dogs. Their job right now is to help rescuers cope with the emotional toll of the collapse. These dogs are here for you, said Bonnie Fear, the Lutheran Church Charity's Canine Comfort Dog Ministry. A lot of times these first responders, they fall to their knees with the emotional pain of some of the things that they're going through and some of the things that they see. And we allow the dogs to be the bridge for those people to grieve the loss and deal with whatever feelings they might be having. Comfort dogs are a strong and well-proven therapy for depression, anxiety, and other forms of distress. So the hypothesis is that over many years of being rewarded for comforting humans, they develop a heightened sensitivity to distress. So they actually will turn submissive to comfort a crying stranger. So go out, rescue a dog. Somebody had a birthday this week, and that would be our favorite terrier. He is now 7 years old. And although you terrorize the community, we wouldn't have it any other way, I guess. So that's my time. I'll check in with you in a couple of days. Subscribe. Why? Because the platform won't let you do very much until you have a certain number of subscribers. Tip if you want, if you have news, whether it's weird, funny, shocking, goofy, generally unbelievable, send it along. Put something in the chat or DM me on Instagram at Ishi.Hakase. Instagram, Ishi.Hakase. I hope you enjoyed this news, or not news. The world is a very interesting and curious place. Keep your heads up, spread the word, stay safe, and much love. I am OWT.